So yeah, Alexander Isak has got 44 goals in the Premier League in 70 games. That's also moved him to 50 goals for Newcastle United. He's done that. I'll put the stat up on screen. Don't ask us how many games it's in, but he's got 50 goals now for the club. He's done it in a less amount of games than Alan Shearer. Not saying he's better than Shearer. It's just that's incredible. Obviously, he doesn't top Andy Cole, who's got 50 goals in 50 games for. That's just insane. How good Andy Cole was. But yeah, Alexander Isak, 44 goals in 70 games. That moves him to 14 goals in 15 games, and there's just no stopping him at the moment. I mean, I saw a great tweet that said Arsenal have put in a £100 million bid for Alexander Isak. Newcastle have accepted it and left his left boot in the dressing room, and that was an absolute crease. But yeah, taking that lead, that away end went into bedlam. Obviously, they had a chance. The only time that Dan Burn really got done all game, who was a colossus again, was Sven Botman, despite playing two left centre-backs, left footers. They just didn't give an inch. Was the Martinelli chance, which hit off the post. Again, I thought he took it too early, but I'm not complaining that he did. And then, yeah, got to half-time, we're in jovial mood. We'd done the hard part of scoring a goal. Because we just thought if Arsenal took the lead, they could have went on and maybe got a second or third. They were always threatening, especially that first half. It was end-to-end. When Newcastle getting that lead, knocked them a bit. Getting that lead knocked the fans a bit and knocked their players. And it was great to go into half-time with a 1-0 lead. And yeah, then it went into the second half. We thought, would they come flying out the blocks? Could they get a goal back that would make the tie interesting? But no, what transpired was Newcastle United went 2-0 up. And again, Alexander Isak, Arsenal could not handle him. Like dropping into, like I've said he does before, dropping into pockets of space. He runs, he feints one way, he feints another. He can dribble, he can finish anyway. Arsenal defenders were terrified of him, not even the defenders, the midfielders. They were terrified of him. They were scared to put a foot in. They kept dropping off. Great ball in by Tonali. He's got great footwork, Isak. He shifted it, played out wide to Murphy. Then you saw him pointing. He was continuous running. Murphy, brilliant again. Played it straight back inside almost to Isak. Isak feigned, looked to get a shot across into the far corner, past Raya, but then the ball fell to Anthony Gordon, who's now got 2 goals in 2 games. And what shithousery from Gordon that was. Shithouse Newcastle are back, doing the Henry at the corner flag. Just doing that. Oh, brilliant. Honestly, we saw him over there at the time, but didn't realise he was doing the Henry till after, till it was pointed out. But yeah, it's all coming back now, because again, I really loved Henry as a kid. Brilliant, brilliant player. But yeah, to do that at the Emirates when they've been after him, that's just pure shit. To do that at the Emirates, in front of the home support. I know it was right next to the away end, but classic shithouse Newcastle are back. It is brilliant. But yeah, to do that at the Emirates, honestly, I know it was near the away end, but near the home support, doing the Henry on their own ground for a club legend. Shithouse Newcastle, I just love it. And then from there on, we've exerted ourselves a bit. As I said before, the players did look like they were tiring a little, run on empty. So Eddie Howe done an absolute, a shit house load of substitutions. He took Isak off, he took Gordon off, he took Murphy off. So the front three, I know he took Willock off as well, you could understand that. And then he made 4 substitutions. He brought on Lloyd Kelly, Harvey Barnes, Miguel Almiron, and Sean Longstaff. Nearly forgot there, I had to remember. And then we went with 5-5-0. That's mental. Kind of harks back to 2 seasons ago when we got the 0-0 at the Emirates and there was a lot of needle and we rattled them. And Eddie Howe was doing it, Arteta again, just going to 5-5-0. We noticed that there's no centre forward. But you know what? It's saving legs, and it shows that Eddie Howe's confidence in his team that he can just go, right, there's 2 banks of 5, because it was a back 5, then a 5 in midfield, and he just went, here you go, Arsenal, have the ball, try and break her down. And it just shows that Eddie thought that we could see it out, and eventually we did. But that defence was fantastic. Lewis Hall and Tito Livramento again. The European lad, his Twitter account, X, is put put a good post today saying the way we're going, thinks Arsenal's regressed a bit, and Newcastle United could start finishing above Arsenal in future seasons because our recruitment's been better, and the most progressive fullbacks currently in the Premier League, maybe Europe, are Lewis Hall and Tino Livramento. They both had great games again. It's great to see Tino have 2 class games in a row. They're just so good offensively, but they're also good defensively as well. They're just fantastic going both ways. They know when to attack, when to overlap, when to defend, and they seem to be timing everything well. Hall's good with his passing and his positioning. Tino is great with his tackles, and he just knows when to carry the ball or play it himself. So honestly, it's refreshing, and they're still so young. They can get better. But then you go to a couple of older players, like an older head in the team, Dan Burn, fantastic again. He chucked himself in front of everything. Like I said, the only chance he got done for really was Martinelli, who hit the post. But the restricted Arsenal, Adam Cleary has done a tweet, and when Newcastle went with 5-5-0, they won 75% of aerial duels. Arsenal had 33 set pieces, and only 2 of them came off. I mean, that's just outstanding. And it just, like Dan Burn, though, he got his head on everything. He was clearing everything, blocking everything. Sven Botman the same. Them 2 deserve so much praise. And it does ask the question now, for next week. Obviously, there'll be lots of changes for Wolves, but then you go, does Fabian Schär get back in? I mean, I love Fabian Schär, we all do, and it seems today the club are looking off from a contract extension, which he deserves. Probably just be a year with his age, but does he get back in? I mean, I know you want the balance of left centre-back and right centre-back, but you can't really drop Dan Burn and Sven Botman in the last 2 appearances. Now, couple of bits of injury news, though. Couple of bits of injury news. So Botman did come off, but again, it's only his 2nd full game back. It seems like he's fine. That was just precautionary. The more worrying one was Isak coming off in 62 minutes, but again, Eddie's saying it was just a precaution. He's given the players a few days off, and it's unlikely you might see Isak against Bromley. You might see Botman trying to give him a 3rd game some match fitness, but yeah, it sounds like it's precautionary because if we lose Isak, it could seriously affect our run. But Newcastle United, 7 consecutive wins, and that's 5 in the Premier League and 2 in the League Cup, 7 all competitions. That's 4-0 over Leicester, 3-1 over Brentford, 4-0 Ipswich, 3-0 Villa, 2-0 Man U, 2-1 Spurs, 2-0 Arsenal. I mean, Newcastle United in the past, I can't remember the last time Newcastle won 7 in a row. It's probably the Keegan era. My first game was 1992 in February. So it's coming up, that's nearly 33 years since my first ever game next month. But again, I don't think we've put a run together since maybe that 92-3 season, or when we won the Premier League. Or when we nearly won the Premier League in 95-96, because I think we won 10 over 11 opening games that season, or won 10 and drew 1. So going into Keegan territory here with our run, and who's to say we can't extend that run? I mean, who we got coming up next? Bromley, that can make it 8 consecutive wins. Now, I'm not getting ahead of myself, but this is what confidence does, not just the players, but the fan base. I don't fear anyone in the minute. You can beat anyone. We've got Bromley, then we've got Wolves, we've got Bournemouth, who've lost their 2 strikers today, one to a foot injury, and they've lost, I think, Evan Nielsen to an ACL, or it might be the other way around. So they're without their main threats. They'll drop off. Then we'll go to Southampton, then we've got Fulham at home, and then it's the second leg. So what's that? That's Bromley, Wolves, Bournemouth, Southampton, Fulham. That could be 5 more wins and exceeding Keegan. That could be 12 consecutive wins going into the second leg against Arsenal, but a 2-0 advantage taken into the second leg. It's massive. Now, not counting me chickens, again, if Arsenal get the first goal on the 5th of Feb, it could be different, could make it nervy, but everyone will be up for it. Like, we're 90 minutes from Wembley. We just need to avoid defeat, though Eddie Howe, he doesn't get complacent. So he'll know that he'll set the team out to go out and just win that game, treat it like a normal 90 minutes. And we'll avoid defeat, though. We're back at Wembley. And yes, on the train back today, we'll have sorted the hotel for Wembley. So yeah, I know we're saying we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but look, the players aren't. Anthony Gordon said that in his post-match interview yesterday. nothing's won yet. It we're only halfway. Now, that's fine. That's the players. But fans, we can get excited because depending on what happens on tonight's game, when Spurs play Liverpool, who knows? I mean, it was 6-3 when they played in the league to Liverpool. God knows. But if one team does have an advantage, it could mean that prices go up because there'll be more people booking hotels. So we want to get in there now, and then it's free cancellation. Obviously, if we don't, but you've got to fancy we've won 3 of the last 4 at home to Arsenal without conceding, and Arsenal don't like coming up here. We're in Lego Head's head rent free. He hates it. I call him Captain Black sometimes. Remember that? Captain Scarlet, the Mr. Ron's one of my favourite programmes as a kid. But I mean, Arteta's explosive. Obviously, he was on that Mars X mission, Captain Black, and then he wrongly assumed they were being attacked, and then they blew up the base, and the Mr. Rons then took him over. Well, at times it feels like Arteta's been taken over, because honestly, some of his ramblings. See, the reason people don't like Arteta is because he came from Guardiola and you thought he could be likeable. He's done a good job at Arsenal, don't get us wrong, league terms, but they've only won an FA Cup. Community Shield, yeah, if we won it, great, but it is a glorified plate. You can't include them too. And in 2020, when they won the FA Cup, he came in at the quarter-final stage. Emery had got them there. It was Emery's team, not Arteta's team. Yeah, he got them over the line, but that's not really his trophy. You can't say that. He didn't win it going from the 3rd round to the final. So he is overrated. Times I've called him a fraud. He's annoying. He never accepts responsibility. And yeah, I think we discussed it last night, and I think this too. When he didn't win the league last season, it's affected him, and Arsenal look like they're regressing. And again, he's head loss last night. We thought Anges was bizarre, but then Arteta's blaming the ball. Like, I mean, come on, a football's a football. Like, Premier League, you use a Nike ball. Carabao Cup, it's Puma. But a football's a football. I've played on a football pitch before. Not a professional one, just Sunday League. But if you can be on a Sunday League pitch full of bobbles, dents, mounds, and you're playing one ball, it gets lost in the trees or a pond, and then you go and get another one, it's a different make, you still get on with it. A ball's a ball, it's round, it's not square. It's just bizarre. Like, he just has to admit that, yes, they had lots of possession, they put the ball in, but Newcastle stood strong and they couldn't break it down. Eddie Howe went try and break it down, it didn't work at the end of the day. And yes, they had chances. Gabriel had a chance saved by Dubravka. There was a header put over the bar. Havertz's chance, he should have scored that. I mean, I think he's on £280,000 a week. Alexander Isak's on 120 grand a week. You all know who you'd rather have. That chance that came in and it hit Havertz's shoulder instead of his head. Like, honest, that's so bad. That is so bad. But, I'm just buzzing. Like, when that game was done, well, there was a few things actually I need to say on the train on the way down. Some of the lads we were with ended up on football away days. They were sound. Mate to my friend Craig, who we went with, and then I think they were the fans as well. So yeah, the lads who won football away days, that and posted on here. We just joined them in that carriage after they said there were spare seats on the train down yesterday. So that was funny. I'm glad we didn't get involved in that with some of the comments. And then after that, I think they were the ones involved who gate crashed AFTV when Robbie was trying to do his post-match reaction. So that was a laugh, but it was just a bounce coming out the stadium. And then we got the 29 back to Euston, and then we just went with a few more bars. End up in Camden Town. It was brilliant. We went to the Camden Eye, and then even though we had to cover our colours up and sing No Chance, we went to the Dublin Castle. So it was a great night that we did end out until 1:45 this morning. So I'm a little tired tonight. But it was a fantastic night, a great laugh, good kebab after. Actually needed that going back to the hotel. And the hotel was great, as I said. Memory foam mattress, had a class night's sleep, and then went another breakfast this morning, back at the Rocket, and then we got the train home at 12:30, got back into Newcastle around 20 to 4. So yeah, I've just got home about, 6:30. So yeah, I got home about an hour and a half ago. So yeah, just a brilliant away trip. I've been to 5 away games this season. I've been to Hull City pre-season, then I was at Forest in the Cup, and then I was at Wolves, I was at Ipswich, now I've been at the Emirates. I did go to Manchester, as you know, last week, but I was unfortunate I couldn't get a ticket for Old Trafford, so I don't count that. Although I was, if you count just pre-match, post-match, it's 6 wins out of 6. But yeah, if it's going to stadiums, it's 5 wins out of 5. And I do have a ticket for Southampton, so that'll be my next away day. But great away trip overall, just brilliant. To go to the, I mean, for Newcastle United, you know what we've been like. Normally we'll go to these big teams, get a win, then we'll either draw or like lose the other or lose both. But the fact that we've beat Aston Villa, yes, it was at home, but we've beat Aston Villa, and despite their 10 men, that's a great result. They've been flying in Champions League, mirroring our season 2 years ago. Great team. And then the fact, I don't care how bad Man U was struggling, it's still Old Trafford, and we had 1 win there since 1972. And then no wins even back to the 50s after that. So to win at Old Trafford, no matter what form they're in, and then to go to Spurs and win when it's backs to the wall second half. And then yesterday, we got 2-0 up and then said break, we're down, and win 2-0 at the Emirates. I mean, we've won at Old Trafford, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the Emirates in the space of a week. I mean, what a December and New Year it's been. I absolutely love this team. I love this club and the togetherness of them. Why would any of them want to go anywhere? It's a challenge. Some say, would you rather have Champions League or Carabao Cup success and end the 70-year domestic trophy drought this year? Why not go for both? We're good enough. We're good enough. So, and there's been a couple of other things today. I mean, I've got a car, but I think we're good enough. We can do it. But a couple of disappointments though is, well, one I'd say, like Miggy's been spotted at Charles de Gaulle Airport today. Rumoured that he's getting a connecting flight to America. Make of that what you will. I've heard that Eddie Howe's give them 3 days off because they've earned it. The results they've done lately, and a lot of the first team will be rotated for Bromley on Sunday afternoon, but yeah, Miggy could be off there. Yeah, I would say thank you, but he only had that purple patch 22-23. So if he goes, he has well wishes, but we need to just progress. The sad one is in front of the away end, Martin Dubravka. He was crying and he stood there like we serenade him for a minute or two. It looks like he's off to Al Shabaab. Now Eddie Howe said in his post-match press conference, he's got to speak to Paul Mitchell, but he's admitted that he doesn't want to lose him. And let's be honest, like, look, as I've said this loads, I always will, football is subjective. Whatever someone else's opinion is, as long as it's not total delusion, they're not wrong. I'm not saying I'm wrong here. We all have our own opinions on this. Some will be happy to say to Bravgan to go and you've got to progress. I agree with that. But as I said in my last video, Dubravka, we need to come to a compromise and just say, could he stay at the end of the season? Now, I know we could get James Trafford in and we've got Vlachodimos. But again, Nick Pope could come back, but with his shoulder, as I said before, he's looked reluctant to dive on his left shoulder, and then you don't know how he'll be coming back from his injury. So if we're going to let Dubravka go, you've got to think we've got to someone lined up to come in, because I wouldn't be confident going with Pope and Vlachodimos for the rest of the season. And then, yeah, it's just sad if he does go. He'd like to stay, but I understand 35 going on 36. He doesn't want to be second. Doesn't want to be second behind Pope. He's got a chance of one big payday, which would all take to secure him and his family for the rest of their lives. But he'd go with thanks, in my opinion. He's proved we're wrong. And again, he started with a clean sheet and he's ended with a clean sheet when he's came into the team, so fair play to him. I just hope he doesn't go, but Eddie Howe says he needs to speak to Paul Mitchell and then see where we'll go from there. But it could be he's moved on for PSR reasons. And like Eddie said, it's frustrating, but business is coming above football at the minute, and it's frustrating, but that's the world we're in. So yeah, that's what I think. There's got to be a couple of signings coming in. Obviously, if we let Miggy and Dubravka go, got to think Trafford and then a right winger will come in. So, but me and Craig said this on the train back. I do believe that we are a right winger away and this right centre back from challenging. Honestly, we've got to be. It's just great. Just great. Honestly, I do believe that. Sorry if I'm getting ahead of myself, but yeah. I'm sorry, not sorry. Our team's brilliant. The attitude's right. Eddie Howe doesn't go off on one. Doesn't blame injuries or anything. So to come out of these last 7 games, but the last 3 especially, 3 consecutive wins at 3 so-called big clubs, it's fantastic. So yeah, now we'll rest. We'll take a few days off. Enjoy all the highlights, all the content. I'll post a lot of it on here. it's such a laugh, especially whoever done the Nigel Farage one saying we need the Newcastle defence on the borders. Honestly, I'm not seeing any more. I've posted on the Magnificent Mags channel on Facebook. Look at it. It's hilarious. But yeah, buzzing, delighted. Hotels booked, obviously, with free cancellation. We are only 90 minutes there, but it feels like Newcastle are close to getting back to Wembley. And we'll watch tonight's game and see who our potential final opponents could be. It'll be a bonkers game. It always is, involving Spurs and Liverpool. But yeah, I'm just going to chill now, have some tea, because I am knackered. But what an away trip. Just absolutely fantastic. It was great to go down. A good trip to London, but glad to be back home. But I've got to actually add this though, just before I go. There was a couple of strange things happened last night. The main one being there was a fight when we left the Rocket going to the tube station. Some Newcastle fans got hit. They walked out in front of the road when it was a red light for pedestrians in front of his scooter. And the bloke fell off his scooter. He got up and punched one. I don't think the first bloke done anything. The other one, though, started running away. Now, you could say violence, not a good thing, but what the guy done, the guy in the scooter done nothing wrong. He was kind of asking for it. So that was crazy. And then the Arsenal meltdown on AFTV after. Again, it's always box office, but I'm never going to knock Robbie. The guy's level-headed and he's sensible. He always sees reason, but some of them, especially Ty and that, they're mad. It's always box office. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to go now. Now, my tea, as I said. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe, and turn notifications on. And I will be back on Friday with my preview for Bromley on Sunday. And I will be back on Friday or Saturday. I haven't decided yet. But I'll be back on one of those days, and I'll be from Whitby, actually. I'm going there for the weekend, then back Sunday dinner time, ready for the match. So I'll do my pre-match video from there, and what I think going into a game against... And I'll do my predictions for a game against League 2 opposition at St James's Park against Bromley. But for now, take care. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.